share the screen, right? We'll just go.
Hi.
इतना सफर है कुछ होने में और बहुत कुछ होने में। इतना सा फर्क है एक बार सोच के छोड़ देने में और लग के कर दिखाने में। मान लेने में कि जिंदगी ऐसे ही कटेगी और सुबह 4 बजे उठ के सोचने में कि अभी तो बस शुरुआत है। किसी मैगजीन को हाथ में लेने में और उसी मैगजीन के कवर पेज पे होने में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वीआईपी सीट में और उसकी पिछली सीट में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वो जिसका मैदान ही खुला आसमान है वही कल जमीन पर तो था। पूछोगे तो बताएगा वो पंछी कि एक दायरे में सिमटने में और पूरी दुनिया को दायरा बनाने में बस इतना सा फर्क है। इतना कितना है? इतना है या इतना है? जो नापेगा वो जाने कि जहां धरती और आसमान मिलते हैं, नानपुर से दूर अगर मगर शायद से दूर, वहां भी दोनों में फर्क बस इतना सा है। धरती और 7वें आसमान में फर्क बस इतना सा है। ये एक अंतर प्रेरणा है। ये हमारी, आपकी, हम सब की अंतर प्रेरणा है। एक कदम, एक छलांग, एक बाजी, एक गहरी सांस और एक ललकार खुली हवाओं में कि हाँ मैं बना हूं उन फिजाओं के लिए, कि हाँ मैं बना हूं उन ऊंचाइयों के लिए जो ऊंची तो बहुत है पर नामुमकिन भी नहीं, क्योंकि मुमकिन और नामुमकिन में बस इतना सा फर्क है। धूप छांव में फर्क बस इतना सा है। तो बस चलिए फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया के साथ ये फर्क मिटा देते हैं। फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया, 20 years of ideas.
Congratulations, that's a beautiful, motivating video, really.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dheeraj, for playing that motivational message as well as video for us. We at Franchise India welcome all our participants and attendees for another informative session of Business Opportunity with Chai series. Franchise India, the brand which was established in 1999, helping all international and national brands to expand their business with our 70 plus offices. We have helped 40,000 investors to get their business dreams from us. We welcome you to the 111 edition of the Business Opportunity with Chai webinar series. We welcome our panel member, the management team of Franchise India, Gurugram and Sonia Chaudhary, and they are hosting this particular webinar. They'll be sharing their insights, suggestions, and views about the industry, about franchising, as well as about the brand. We are presenting you a brand, I Dig History, the brand which is one of its kind, kids play and education museum. It's a best combination for education and entertainment. And we welcome our speakers, founder, Miss Purnima Bakshi. She's doctor in history, along with our second founder, Mr. Aditya Bakshi. He's a filmmaker. He runs a production house as well as he served in Merchant Navy. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us today. But before we formally take the business proposition which you guys are sharing with our investors, we would like to play a small video for all of you. so much, Dheeraj. Now over to you, uh, Dr. Purnima and Captain Aditya, to share your business ideas with us.
Sure.
All right.
Thank
Thanks.
you so
Thank
much,
you.
Archana, and thank you, Dheeraj, as well, for playing that slightly old video, but I hope it kind of give you a little glimpse into what we are going to talk about. So IDIG History is this small children's play museum that we have in Ambience Mall. And this is what we hope to offer to everybody out here today. It's been a very pleasant journey of discovery for us. We were pleasantly surprised by how well it was received and managed to survive in a big mall like Ambience Mall. And that it continues to grow, the family continues to grow. So as is evident, it's a children's play museum where, you know, we encourage kids to explore historical themes, historical events through very engaging activities which encompass, you know, role play, archaeological digs, virtual reality experiences, art and craft, history themed art and craft. So I like my sister, Dr. Purna Bakshi, who's this is her brainchild. I've helped out with the technical aspects, the app designs for virtual reality, while she has been really managing and running this. I would love her to, you know, tell us a little bit about this place.
Sure. Thanks, Aditya. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Could we move to the next slide, please? Thank you. So IDIG History is a children's play museum. Play museums are they're a popular concept in US and Europe, but we found that there was a lacuna in India for something where children would come. You know, we've had the gaming arcade since we were kids, and we felt that when our kids came into the picture, we felt, okay, there's got to be something more, you know, there's got to be more beyond the bouncies and the playpens, the gaming arcades. And of course, Aditya had done a number of, you know, documentaries, and he had done work for children as well in media. So and I had a history of art background. So we thought that, all right, let's get together and do something for our kids. You know, let's put up something which is quality, you know, which is infotainment, so that when kids come out to a mall for an outing, or you know, they go out, they don't just hop around a bit, but they come back with something that they've learned. So that is what IDIG History is, in a sense. It's a children's play museum where you know, children come, they have a lot of fun, but they take back a lot of something with them when they are back home. Could we have the next slide, please? Right. So, you know, the core philosophy of IDIG History is we want children to have a love for exploration, for discovery. So, you know, that's we've created a setting which is a world in itself. Once the children enter it, there are dinosaurs, there's a pyramid, there is a spaceship replica, and so it's a setting that once they step in, we feel that, you know, they should feel that they are in another world. And so they come and they do activities which is what we are most proud of, are the activities what we worked on for the longest time. Our R&D was on developing these activities, which we are very proud of. We've got these mock archaeological digs where, you know, children dress up as explorers,
As archaeologists,
as archaeologists,
paleontologists,
and you know, they dig out fossils, artifacts, and it's such a joy to see that you know, when they find something, that the look of joy that the children have on their face. I think that's what we were looking for when we went about.
You know, so what happens is usually if you look at all kind of activities and activity-based birthdays, it's very heavily oriented towards science, while, you know, it's STEAM these days, right? It's the art component which is usually missing, while we've been able to address that pretty effectively. Having said that, history is amazing because you can cover the history of science in it as well. So history gives you a canvas which is so wide that is unbelievable. You can venture into anything while you're keeping your differentiator of history being the core driver of our experience and the core genre that we're dealing with. but you could basically cover anything. For example, there's one prop out here which I will talk about in detail as we come to that slide. It's got to do with the moon landing, when man first landed on the moon. That's of course history, but there's a lot of science involved in that. And so here is one place, IDIC history, where you can explore this historical event. You can relive that historical event as if you were the astronaut. And at the same time, you get to take back scientific facts with you. You get the sense of when this occurrence happened, when this event in history happened. And you develop an empathy for history and science. You know, so when these kids are exposed to bookish knowledge later on in their lives, they will remember, hark back to this experience and say that, oh, I love this. Because what we're giving them out here is a sense of adventure. There's a sense of discovery and thrill that the explorers must have felt, whether they were astronauts, whether they were paleontologists uncovering something, whether they were, explorers going through the Mayan forests. Is that thrill of discovery that we believe that we're effectively able to impart to the kids. That is the reason kids really dig this place. They completely, parents have given us constant feedback that they have to drag their kids out to this place. This place grew on word of mouth. That is testimony to, the kind of experience kids get at this place. Here, Purma, you can just kind of tell us about the core activities that we kind of carry to give a sense of what actually happens in this place. Yes, thanks.
So there are 3 core activities that we conduct at the museum. We have firstly our archaeological digs, where children can dig for dinosaur fossils, or they can go inside a pyramid and find the treasures of an Egyptian pharaoh. Or there's a Greek dig where they dig out King Alexander's artifacts, weapons, etc. And so these are one. And then the very popular one is the moon dig, where children dress up as astronauts. They have a VR experience of the moon landing that happened. And then we've created a replica of Apollo 11 and the command module, so the children go inside there and they get a VR experience. Then they come out, they adorn their astronaut suits, and then they collect replicas of moon rocks, the various kind of moon rocks that the astronauts brought back with them. And that's something which is
so I can give you a sense of what she's saying here. So I remember there was a geographical lesson about the composition of the moon. It was so boring that we were supposed to memorize it. So nobody kind of remembers the geological composition of the moon. So there are these complex rocks that were found on the moon, right? Like anorthosite, like basalt, mere basalt that is found in the craters. So when you tell a kid that there's these kind of rocks found there, the kids will certainly not remember those terms. But what happens in our places that, so firstly, we developed a proprietary virtual reality app, which is being developed by us, wherein the moment the kid downs that headset, the kid is transported to 1969 right on the moon, and the kid is able to explore that moon on her or his own. And they come across astronauts doing actually what they were doing on the moon that time. So they see the astronauts are using these astro pickers to pick up these, rocks and put them in their sample bags, following their checklist on their space suits. And so the kids get thrilled now because they've seen what astronauts actually do. And we follow this up by giving them a suit, giving them a helmet, giving them a picker, taking them to a mock moon, and telling them that now these are different sample bags. These are different kind of rocks which are found. The silver part of the moon, that's anorthosite, a lot of plagioclase in it. So you'll be surprised by the end of this activity, they have bunch full of these sample bags of different rocks, and they're able to spell out different rock names like the back of their hands. In fact, we've had kids coming back to us 10 days down the line. The parents, like Harris' parents, have brought them back. They have something to show you. And the kids have come back and said, I think we found a moon asteroid on the road. And because this looks like mere basalt. And we wanted to give it to this museum. So that is what we were looking at. That's a level of engagement that we were hoping for, which we got. And this is the reason we could, we were absolutely new to this. Though, of course, Purma has a history and background in history. we were not into kids entertainment as such. But the reason why the whole concept survived, thrived in a place like Ambience Mall, which is cutthroat, and I've seen a lot of businesses close out there sometimes, is because there is a need for this kind of experience. Parents want to send their kids to some place which is a little differentiated. It can't be, no offense, I love bouncies myself, but can't be a bouncy birthday every time, right? There is a little ennui that develops the fourth year, fifth year, sixth years of bouncy. So there is a time, when people are looking for different experiences, for birthdays. That is the time, they think of us, and that's been our core driver.
The next
let's
slide,
let's go to the next one quickly.
Right. So once we covered our archaeological digs, our moon dig, the other two core activities that we conduct is, of course, virtual reality. Virtual reality is being used in a lot of places, in a lot of countries, as an immersive learning tool in schools as well. So what we've done is we've curated some VR experiences, and Aditya has been able to create some original VR experiences for the museum. So wherein the children travel to different time periods, they could be in an Egyptian tomb, or they could be on moon, and they get a sense of an immersive experience of past ages.
So the experience is not too factual, in the sense that it's not something that would bore the kids. It's got enough facts, it's got enough experience, but at the same time, we kind of made sure that it's fun for kids. We want they are our prime customers, really, so we want them coming back for more. We want them to be engaged, and we don't want to make it a completely so we want to make it edutainment, not educational, really. So that's where we were able to, so you can say that there are two kind of drivers that kids look for, the kids experience in their psychological makeup. One is, of course, the adrenaline rush that you get out of rides, which is certainly very popular and a great business. The other is the dopamine, or the enkephalin release, which is when you get addicted to video games, or when you, or the better version of that is when you discover something and you want to keep on discovering something, the dopamine release in terms of when you make a creative deduction. That is what we focused on, really. The good news is that now we can add adrenaline as well, and we've begun doing that. So we kind of covering a larger gamut of the spectrum, wherein some competing brands would have based their core experience around adrenaline. That is a lot of rides, which is great. I love them too, like I said. But we want to expand that canvas, and we want to bring in the other kind of experience, the creative kinds, the joy of discovery, which kind of develops the kid a little bit. Yes,
and we wanted that the learning is incidental, that the kids don't realize that they've come to an academic place, or it's a fun place, but when they go back, they've actually picked up something without it seeming like they went in for some academic sort of experience. So I think that's what.
So the craft out here that you can see in the picture here is certainly history inspired. So that's a genuine statue
replica.
Yes, absolutely, at Athena.
Yeah.
But the kids. So it's something akin to POP painting, which the kids love. It's a big hit with the kids. So they get to personalize it, and so therefore they remember a little bit about Athena or Nefertiti, the Queen of Egypt.
It's a tangible that they have in their hand. So if they painted a sculpture of an Egyptian king, or if they painted a pyramid or a Greek sculpture, it's a tangible thing in their hand. So it's what stays with them is a lot
exactly
more.
And so what comes out here now is so we've got this place which has proprietary virtual reality. The props have been completely designed by us, so we are kind of like original equipment manufacturers here too. So that means two things: that we can make more of them, and this is what we intend to do. We intend to evolve. We intend to retain stickiness with our customers by calling them again and saying, hey, there's a new prop here now. It's not the same old stuff anymore. and we've got tens of props waiting in line. So we are continuously evolving, and again the craft are also proprietary. So we've got this supply chain control, which can't be easily replicated. So there is no replicas of our props, of our VR experiences in China. So I've had, since we were operating for 3.5 years in Ambience Mall, there were a lot of attempts to somehow copy us, and there were some vague attempts to get some dinosaur digs going. But they missed as I said, the trees for the forest, or vice versa. What they didn't realize was this was a whole complete experience. That the trio of virtual reality, role play rigs, with the authentic research that was behind it, and the craft history, which is so proprietary that is hard to replicate. So that puts us in a unique position where we didn't have competition for a pretty long time, at least thus far, and that is a very high threshold for other people to try and enter into. So we're in a good space thus far, and we intend to take this a little further, where we like mention later on as to how we plan to go ahead. Yes,
The next slide, please. Right. So the events and packages that iDig History offers, of course, our birthdays are what are most popular. So that's what I think the word of mouth that has gone around is primarily through the birthdays.
Yes, exactly. Like I mentioned, it was a process of discovery for us. The first 1 or 2 years, we were kind of naive, not so much today, but and so we didn't indulge in marketing or something in the first 1 or 2 years, right? And the word of mouth was so strong that we are one of the most heavily booked birthday venue places today. We certainly score up to about 25 birthdays. And that's the best we've done in a month. And the reason I think this happened was because the more people stumbled upon us, they had absolutely glowing things to tell other people about us. And we found that they were, that's very rare to see when a birthday happens and kids who've come in the birthday, they repeat their birthday in the same year in the same venue, because that's a very difficult thing usually for parents to digest, right? That they want to copy the venue.
Yes,
but it so happens that the kids, want to go back to that same place, because we have that we probably mentioned a little later onwards, repeat value is there because we have some sort of personalized activities during these birthdays, which really help the kids relate to the place and live in the magical kingdom that we sort of create for them. And we're working to enhance that, and we'll explain that as we go ahead. But as you can see here, basically what we're trying to say here in this slide is that because of the value proposition, that this is a place which has, merit in terms of it's a serious place. It's slightly academically, it's easier for academic institutions, academic entities to associate with us. So you find that things like book launches happen. We were surprised that a lot of kids publishers wanted to come and have book launches in our setting because they felt that it's an appropriate setting. And of course, a lot of corporates came up and
play dates.
Yes, absolutely.
Play dates are, of course, the next slide, please.
Yes.
Could we have the next slide? Yes, thanks. So yes, of course, we have, we've had a number of corporate kids day outs being hosted at our venue, and of course,
the biggest
school visits.
Yes. So that's kind of hard for other people to replicate. What happens is that it's not common to find school visiting places which are fun and frolic at all times, because they got to explain to the parents as to what was the educative value of the field outings. Of course, they'd still go to a lot of fun places, but if they have to choose between us and some other competing business, they will obviously come to us. So the potential is that each and every school would want to come to us because you make these tailor-made packages. We kind of reach out to the schools. We ask them what they are looking for. And since, like I mentioned, our gamut is so flexible, we have science, maths, arts, everything under the gamut of history. Like I mentioned that, you can have history of comic books, you can have history of mathematics itself. So
there is
yes.
still a lacuna for edutainment for children. That's what our experience
So here we can
us.
score over other businesses.
Right. Yes.
So say you have a franchise of our place. This is how you could, develop a local network where the local schools all come to you. The local birthdays happen. The local corporates with their children's day out, which is becoming pretty common these days. Is what we discovered. In fact, we were found out by a corporate. We never even thought that there's something like a corporate kids day out thing possible at our place. And they just said, and they just landed up one day, and this opened the whole the corporate world for us. Yes. So it's been like I said, it's been a journey of discovery where we've been able to find a lot of revenue streams coming in from very interesting places. So this is yes. Okay.
Could we go to the next slide, please?
Okay.
Right. So this sort of sums up everything that we more or less provide. Of course, primarily it's experiential edutainment for children, so that they experience the joy of something, of discovery, and they learn something in the bargain. We provide mock archaeological digs, virtual reality entertainment, and of course, history-inspired craft sculptures that the children can paint and take back home with them. The birthdays and corporate kids day out are differentiated. The outing is, the most common feedback that we get is that people say, oh, this is such an interesting place. We're so glad that something like this has come up. So that's something that we're very proud of. And of course, the aspect of providing educational experience for schools, while, it being fun for children is something that, we feel that that's also a very important revenue stream. And then, of course, we've also hosted some festivals and summer camps for children. So
yeah, summer camps pretty common. But I've seen Purma design these very successful festivals to engage her clients. So, for example, she had this Arabian Nights festival,
yes.
Which is a big hit, wherein clients are given reasons to come back. Because of our constant engagement endeavors. So we got stickiness. I would say that we got stickiness. People come back to us, and this is the whole and sole reason that a brand new concept has been able to thrive in Ambience.
And one of the things that we've, very sincerely, what we've done in the past 3 years from our end is we've just tried to improve everything in the museum. We've focused on the service, on what we're offering, so that's what we've focused on so far. We've tried to fill in all the gaps, plug in the gaps.
And now is the time to scale up.
Yes,
I think the opportunity is really big now, because there is a crying demand, and so far as we can see, there is no direct competition in this offering space that we are in, as we like to, if you can use that term. And I see, and this is what we want to do. We want to scale up now today, and we want to have partners out there who help us expand this vision and be part of this process. We help us. We want to make it together with you guys, whoever wants to partner with us as a franchisee. We are looking at developing more interactives, as we call them. We are looking at developing further revenue streams, and we want to develop the retail aspects, the merchandising aspects. We're also coming up with something very interesting. This COVID forced us to, this COVID period, this whole pandemic forced us to think out of the box, and we are absolutely on the startup blocks, ready to implement some very interesting things. For one, I like to hark back to my background with television, successful background television. I've had my programs come on major channels. We are looking at developing a series wherein, there would be a bunch of kids who would come across a time machine. And whenever they would uncover an artifact or a fossil bone, they would show this to this machine. This is how the story goes. They would show it to this machine, and the time machine would calculate the date of that object and transport these kids back to that era, right? And they would be able to explore that era. Now, once we make a series like that, and we have corresponding props in our place, think Chota Bheem. What happens is that kids, relate to this place as being as a bigger fantasy space that they live in and are engaged with continuously. We so we intend to put this certainly on YouTube, and I'm certainly interested in putting this on television as well. So whether it comes on television or not, even if you put it on YouTube, if we send out to the kids out there this series and they start consuming this series, then it's going to be a driver for the brick and mortar place, which is IDIG history, because kids would want to experience for themselves what they've seen on the screens, and what they've lived in, this fantasy world that they lived in. So we are coming up with newer ways to engage kids and develop deeper engagements, as well as reach out to more people. And we certainly are looking forward to this growth phase, which we hope to partner with you in for.
Could we have the next slide, please?
Okay, so why us? Yes. So one in the world nature of certain exhibits and interactives, proprietary designs unavailable anywhere else. Well, I guess that makes sense. So there have been attempts to copy us, but they've not succeeded. And we've been operating for 3.5 years, and there's a reason why they haven't succeeded, because they realized we might as well take a franchisee with these guys, because the amount of R&D or the development money that would require to develop a virtual reality app and then a prop around it, machine it, carpenter it, if I can use that term, and you get the molds in place. It would probably be a huge expenditure going into a couple of crores. So it doesn't make sense anymore for somebody to copy us. Even China would probably tell them that it's going to take time to copy these guys. It's cross-platform. It's virtual reality is a little away from props. And the crafts are obviously a different medium as well. So it's the cross-platform mediums and the continuity across these that we developed. How kids move from one to another, which is so unique that it's hard to replicate. And so therefore we expect. So there is a high threshold for people to come into our space, and certainly it's not easy to copy us. And like I said, once in a world. So for example, the moon dig I haven't seen anything. I've searched for this. Of course, I've seen fossil digs, but I haven't seen anything like the moon dig anywhere else in the world.
We had studied the models of almost 9 countries, before we set up, when we were doing our
wanted
R&D.
to be especially unique. We wanted to be completely made in India, so that the idea is not really copied from anywhere else.
And we had, in fact, when we studied what NASA was doing, what sort of kids activities are they doing for
even
children.
NASA doesn't do this. Yes.
So they have simplistic activities where children do the exercises that astronauts do and so on. So we put in a lot of time in the R&D, and I think that's really where our strength is.
Right.
Where.
So talking of NASA, we're coming up with this new space station installation, where kids will be going into anti-gravity, which is basically they'll be slung, and they'll be fixing the space station as they go in the different parts, which will be a copy of the International Space Station. So you can imagine this level of detail in role playing is not there with the context of history. I understand that there are these other very huge experience centers which are into role play, but they deal with the modern times. They deal with current, and they deal with the very engineers, doctors, pilots. They deal with what professions people are into these days, right? But our perspective, which is basically history, is what sets us apart.
And it's focused more on not on, okay, we're training you to be something when you're a grown up. It's more to do with developing a love
Exactly.
for discovery or exploration. That's really the
And our props are differentiated in that sense, and our experience is a little differentiated in that sense. So that's why we've ambitiously used the line one in the world.
so and so this
Okay.
has also fetched us a loyal and recurring customer base. Like we said, it was a lot to do with word of mouth and good feedback. And the other aspect is
Yes,
that
we are
we're
evolving.
evolving. Yes.
So there's more where it's coming from, since it's all in house, and we're expanding on the team of designers. We're expanding on the team who are creating. So what you can expect is that there's never going to be, oh, been there, done that with us. We've constantly added props every year to our existing facility. As you could probably figure out, we have one in Ambience Mall today. It's in 1,200 square feet facility, which has been operating for 3.5 years successfully. Um, we've been constantly adding new props to that place, and in fact, post COVID, you will see a lot more happening there. So what we can assure our partners is that in built to any offerings that we have, we'll not only be able to replicate what we have today. You would probably get new interactives coming up with rapid pace every year, so that you can always reach out to your customers and say that, hey, we got something new today.
Next slide, please. So
Okay,
yes,
this is
that's
because
various.
somebody's put together these images.
So that's Captain
Yeah,
Cook's
Captain
ship,
Cook,
Endeavour.
Cook's ship Endeavour, and there's some child, I think, looking through the telescope. So there's an activity where you relive what Captain Cook did while discovering his islands. And
We've got a replica of his diary entries that he wrote, so the kids find that very interesting.
the Cave of Mystery is pretty popular as well. As you can see, a lot of kids are trying to unearth the
Precious stones.
okay, precious
Semi-precious
stones. Okay,
stones.
so that are found inside natural caves. So you get it right, that there is a lot of things which are there, which are very unique, and they'll continue to grow.
The next slide, please. So that's
Okay. So the interesting part here, the thing is that cake bot, if you can make it out, it's the right hand side top picture. Okay, it's a little populated, but that's a very popular attraction at our place. So we've started exploring the future as well. So far we were about history, but we're it's already in place, and you'll be getting it if you opt in with us. Is that we're exploring the future as well now. So we're looking at modern technologies and the future to go with it. That as part of the time machine experience, which is the virtual reality experience, what if we step into the future? You would find a lot of robots. So we got live robots out there, man-sized. There's one who brings in the cake, one who can automatically dispense any soft drink or juice of your choice. You just have to give a command on your cell phone, and it shakes hands with you, gives you toffees. Um, so as you can see, that this is a hugely popular attraction. Um, so as these new kind of props develop, as you know, they bring in another level of engagement. So it's not just the history theme party every time. So there have been parents who said that, okay यार, वो मैंने last time वो dinosaur वाली theme party तो कर ली, अब मुझे कुछ नया करना है यार. Why should I come back to you? And then we say, okay, we got robot themes, which is completely different, where they'll be going to a space station and rescuing robots from there, and they'll have to figure out, they'll have to make their own robots and stuff like that. So the thing is that it's a place that unleashes creativity, and it has unlimited potential. um, we are so creative with these things that we can give absolutely varied and wide spectrum experiences to people who want to come back to us every year. I'm talking in terms of birthdays. Of course, there are walk-ins daily, and there are walk-ins that happen. And I was talking in terms of events, which is the big driver out here, a big source. And so we keep giving them new stuff every time. Okay. I think.
All right. Next slide, please. Yeah, that's more glimpses of the children. That's there. We've got a soft play area, castle play area for the children as well. There is sculpture painting happening. And
Yeah, so as part of a reach out to the younger gen as well, because our, what is the core target group, Purnima?
we're looking at 2 to 12-year-olds. That's the target
Yeah, so it's
age group.
expanded a bit. When we started out, it was 5 to 11. So thanks to the play area that she's introduced, it's kind of expanded to 2 as well. So we started getting in a lot of kids in that age zone. And coming up post COVID is, we're making a mystery room, escape room out there. So that will enhance our age group. If I can not enhance it, probably extend it to the higher age groups as well. But as of today, it's 2 to 12, as Purnima says. And you can see that there have been some activities tailored for those kind of wide gamut age groups. Thank you.
Next slide, please.
Okay, this is testimonials. Okay,
All right.
so kind. I think this is what parents usually experience. We've not put pressure on them ever to kind of give us testimonials and all that. It's been very organic, very natural. And the kind of comments if you see out here is what we usually get.
Completely engaging. Staff is very polite and experienced in handling kiddos. So we also, our focus, like I've said, so far has been on, making the service and the product and the place, plugging in all the gaps, making it a seamless experience. So that's what we've worked on.
So I like the line, kids don't want to leave and you literally have to drag them out. I've heard this plenty of times,
Yes.
Which is a good thing because you can understand it if it's a ride place, as I like to call those. But for a place which is trying to give some value back to kids, it's very important that we're able to engage them, and we're happy that we've managed to some extent for sure, and successful extent.
This one says a unique concept, and that is something that that's what we get most of the time.
Okay.
That's yes. The next one, please.
Okay, so everybody, you've been very kind and patient while we have talked about our journey. As you can see, this is the proposed franchise business model that we have. There are 2 offerings that we got as of today. The first one is kind of modeled around the Ambience facility that we have. So that requires a minimum area of 1,000 square feet. It requires an investment of about 62 lakhs, which includes a franchise fee, as you can see on your screen, of about 5 lakhs. It also includes a lot of marketing that we'll do for you. The average ROI over 5 years is 48%. The payback period, as you can see, is 2 years and 8 months. It can be better if we have a few efficiencies in the system, but we've taken on the higher side. The agreement term is for 5 years, and we are confident that you'll be able to make your money twice over for sure in that period, and the journey would be fantastic. You'll be part of something. You would be the guys who will take us to the world out there, and we'll be giving our everything and all behind you, because we are interested in making this into a successful, expanding enterprise. We've got everything lined up for you. We have the training of the staff that you're going to be hiring in place. We have training manuals in place. We have a supply chain in place. As you would have noticed, there's a lot of craft happens. There's a lot of new props coming in, and you'll have a smooth system in place to have hassle-free, constantly upgraded and stocked inventory at the end of your month every time. Everything will be in place. We'll also carry a lot of audits because we are very interested in the brand and its it shouldn't, and its value proposition and its where we envisage it being. So we intend to carry out a lot of audits, a lot of improvements. We intend to really, treat it like our own baby that we have thus far. And we can assure you that we were pleasantly surprised, right? That's the proof of the pudding is in the eating. And as brand new guys, but with relevant backgrounds, of course. The fact that the model, the pilot facility went on in Ambience Mall for 3.5 years. It's not personally owned. It's not a personally owned place. Ambience Mall is a place where people have been vying for that location where we are ever since we started, and it's for everybody to see. And the reason that it's been able to thrive successfully there, and it's going to go on after COVID. We are one of the first few kids places that will be opening up, and we're getting frantic calls from Ambience ki jaldi aa jao yaar, we miss you. The reason is that it was a unique proposition. There was nothing like it when it started. There is still nothing quite like it. Of course, there is direct competition in terms of if there is family entertainment, then the families would want to, go to certain places and celebrate their birthdays in certain places. But there are these unique positioning that we are in, so we can attract schools, for example, which no other similar family entertainment entity can easily attract as to the scale that we can. We can attract every school out there. And there are the other, for example, these publishers are starting showing up now, where we have a deal with this children publisher to, have these events with us. And the reason why they want to do it with us is something we're akin to the Oxford Bookstore. So the Oxford Bookstore was the other venue which was successful thus far in getting a lot of publishing launches. And it's the value proposition that we're talking about here. Guys, we intend to add a lot of adrenaline-based rides and all that in the future. So you would actually cover that gamut as well, in a limited extent, because our core proposition is still there, which is value edutainment. But we intend to making it such a safe and a wide spectrum encompassing investment for you in this genre or in this space, that we believe you should be pretty safe, and you would have plenty of options to choose from when you decide to market to your customers.
The next slide, please. So that's the only difference.
Okay, so that's the second proposal. So only if you notice in this proposal that the minimum area required is 1,600 square feet, and the investment is enhanced to 84 lakhs. The franchise fee, as you can see, is 8 lakhs. The average ROI is similar, but 43% over 5 years. The payback period is again similar at 2 years and 11. Like I mentioned, it can be better, but we played safe for you. In our case, it was better, but we played safe for you. The agreement term is 5 years, right? And what you find out here is that we've introduced a cafe. That's the differentiator between the two offerings. Bear in mind, the earlier offering has space for gourmet settings and food. And we've been providing food to our customers, but we've been outsourcing it. So we've been taking floor charges, we've been taking cuts. So there's been a revenue source from there. But we were never into food as such, right? But once the cafe comes in, what happens is the cafe is a themed cafe. The cafe has a running belt. It has a small locomotive, the chutney train. It has small robots moving around. It has themed food. So you're talking about, for example, you can imagine a dinosaur party with dinosaur themed foods, Big Bang burgers, or Galaxy pizzas, whatever have you. You get the idea, right? That there's going to be theme related food out there, which is going to be again a whole team working behind it. So there's going to be the extra staff that you'll have to employ. So that's what's implied in the extra space that is implied in this offering. So understand that this offering has a specialized cafe attached to it, which would double your revenues, because it would be a destination in itself. The environment would be so thrilling that some people might just land up just to enjoy the cafe, So that's the doubling of value proposition here. And really, that's the core difference between the two offerings. So one offering has food, but it doesn't have its own cafe. It can be outsourced food, um, while the other one has a cafe. So that's the differentiator between the two offerings that you have here. One is like the first one is for 62 lakhs, and the other one, the cafe, is at 84 lakhs. And like we mentioned, you can expect your payback period at 2.5 years on average. The agreement term is for 5 years. And of course, we are very confident you like to renew post that, and you'll be super happy. I think things will be much better by then.
Right. I
Okay.
think, yes.
Okay, Q&A. Well, we've spoken our heart out to you guys, and we'd like some feedback for sure. Any questions? Certainly, we're up for it.
Thank you, Aditya. Thank you, Dr. Purnima. It's very, very insightful, very elaborate presentation, and also reflects your kind of passion you have for this business and how much you really invested into that.
Thank you.
Because
Coming
this is
from
not
you,
easy. This is not a business which easily would come in unless and until you are extremely passionate about what you want to create. And I can tell you, India is one of the lowest when it comes to edutainment parks or any kind of thing. So we don't have that kind of recreational, educational facilities. So edutainment is a very, very strong, globally rising industry. And what you've really created is something which is one very difficult to achieve in that small area, because either people put a lot of capex, very large capex to develop that, which is very difficult for from an investment viewpoint. So to all achieve all that in a smaller capex is a very good idea. So I'll take up a few questions quickly. One, let's go with the three questions which I would like to do. One is I would like to go back to the business model and a financial model a little more in depth. Business model, as I understand, there is two models which you've done, is about 1100 square feet and about 1600 square feet. And both would differ only by a cafe. So which means that you add another 500, which is F&B service, where people can come and parents can really come, and or even people just come for the cafe. They don't come for even for that. But let's go back to the model, which was the original classic model of our center itself. And that model, what is the revenue structure? How much you charge? Is it a cover charge when the kids come in? And I see there are clearly three businesses in this. One business is what I call the kind of a retail business. Second business is your parties, which you do. And third business is where you bring in schools to really send there. So it maximizes the hours. Normally school trips comes on weekdays when kids would be sent to these places. This is part of almost all curriculum now. The schools have to send them for discovery tours and things of that nature. So it fills your weekdays in the day, because in the day normally kids would not come. So that day gets filled. And if you have a cafe, then also it works very beautifully in the mall, because in the day you can use a cafe and school kids can come, and school kids can be booked in and different regions. And the second piece would be, the business of parties. Parties are very, very big, 25 parties out of 30 days, which means that almost every day you have one party going on. And this is like a viral. It's if a one kid goes in one party, in the entire class would now start repeating that. So that's how it happens. So the next kid also wants their birthday party also to be celebrated, and good parties at a particular certain age. This is a very big business. So that's the second business. And third is a retail business, which is more leisure, where kids come and just enroll themselves even, and they can have the tour. So what do you charge for all three? Just give me the financial part of it.
Sure. Do you want to go ahead?
So,
Okay.
yes. For we have a basic birthday package which is priced at 650, which is just for the basic activities. And then usually people like to add on things, so it can go up. But we're talking basic at 650 per child, just for the activities.
Three core activities. So basically,
so what would be a revenue in total if I do a lump sum of this, say, center like Ambience, which you were running, let's go pre-COVID, what kind of revenues you were doing in that entirety? What was a top line for you on a monthly basis?
So absolutely. So what happens is that if you're starting out, we would expect revenues from up to around 4.5 to 5.5 lakhs per month. 40 to 50% of that coming in from birthdays and corporate events. It's a pretty heavy chunk. There's a lot of walk-ins and other things happening, but it's the birthdays, like you correctly identified, which is the core revenue stream, as you call it. So basically, as part of your question of the cover charges is concerned, we started at a very basic 200. So somebody can come in at 200 and undertake a virtual reality experience. The reason why we did that was because we discovered a lot of people walking around in Ambience Mall, and they would never enter these high cover charge places. And we thought we wanted to, why not reach out to them as well? Yeah. So that's a basic starting point. But as Purna mentioned, the activities have their own costs. So like I mentioned, 200 is for the virtual reality. 250 is for the role play dig that we've talked about, the role play activity that we talked about in detail. And 325 is for the craft that you've seen on the images shown, that the kids do this painting and craft building activities. And the whole pack of them, the cover pack for that is 650. Yeah. And as you can see, so in birthdays, what happens is they take these combos with a lot of other frills. So there could be games, specialized games that are organized in the birthday, treasure hunts, so educational activities.
Our particular puppet show, that is
right.
We've designed our own activities which can be
so they become add-ons to the package. So the package could hover from starting at 650 to about 1,200. It could end up there. So that's like what happens in a group, in a group sale, right? In a group package. And as we mentioned, that so it's about 50% is from group birthdays, while the walk-ins and the other smaller activities, the kids play dates, which are smaller group activities, and other sources are about 50%.
And we have deviated a little from the usual, similar models where they, the entry charges are forbidding. So there is not, not everybody walking in. But we didn't want to do that. We wanted that any child who's interested in dinosaurs should, be able to come in and maybe just do one day. This is walk-ins that we're talking about. So we are slightly different there from usually people have a basic cover charge of 600 or something, and then they'll let you in only then. So we didn't want to do that.
So yeah, we try to democratize the place a little bit. So it's worked for us. I think people where there is high visibility. If there's somebody who's taken it on a road, say a franchise, who's open on the road, which is clearly visible, would have a lot of walk-ins. So if there's just 200 as starting points, then parents who want to just give their kids a little change, they wouldn't think twice about it from the localities. So I think so that's how we've been able to balance it. Otherwise, we would have seen that the budgets would have been about 70-80%, and only 30% of walk-ins because.
So that's what happens, So for everybody's understanding, these are environments, and these environments, how do you really sweat out these environments? That's what be important. So as I said, you need to really understand that you have certain amount of time and a particular trading hours, and how do you really sweat out your trading hours? So weekdays are good in the day part for driving a lot of corporate visits, activities, school visits, and things of that nature. Evenings are good for parties and regular visit. Weekends are anyway heavy because weekends anyway you're doing. So they are doing about 5 to 6 lakh rupees kind of average sale. I mean, they're saying they're doing much higher, but this is the kind of average you do that. This business is essentially people light. It's once you deploy the infrastructure, you just have to sweat out this infrastructure. Say in a good mall, and I think the opportunity is much bigger even in smaller cities because the rental would be lower. So the places like in Nagpur or a Surat or places like that, this would do extremely well. But you have to understand that because everywhere, I think the kids population is very high, and rather in those smaller cities, you don't have anything. You don't have anything which is available. Exactly. A part of a mall also gives you a good rental because they want to see these attractions in their malls.
Yes.
So typically, if say you get a rental at even at 100 rupees kind of a thing in a smaller city, you have a lakh of rupee rent. You have another 50,000 rupees through a camp, your common maintenance, and then you have maybe another lakh of rupee for your manpower, people, and other things. So it's a good business model. Obviously, in the 650 they charge for a kid's birthday, there was some cost of food which would come in. There is a refreshment, and most of the times in a smaller format, you will outsource that. You don't have to do that. You will just bring in catering. So normally, it's 15 to 20% of that cost would go to the food cost.
Yes.
So technically, even if you do that, and I think this business can still get you about 2 odd lakh rupees of a revenue.
Absolutely.
And if the business goes to a certain level, another thing which is very important, I've seen these businesses are very, very profitable for the first 15, 16 months because it's fresh. People want to go there. Everybody wants to. It's like if you're not gone there, it's something you're missing. This is what happens in kids.
Right.
After that, it starts hitting fatigue. But what Aditya and Dr. Purnima has done, that they have really created a lot of modules. So they can bring in a lot of freshness so that fatigue doesn't hit.
Absolutely.
So you are able to refresh the entire concept completely. And because it's based on discovery, it's based on dieting. And I can give you an example. The biggest company which does is actually Discovery Channel. Discovery Channel globally is one of the most successful children edutainment centers. So they would have these centers not only on shopping malls, but they would have on airports, everywhere in the world. So Discovery is the biggest company, and a lot of other companies have done. NASA has started doing these centers. A lot of other, the channels globally are running these kind of centers because the kids come and discover, and this can go into different levels. It can be history, it can be wildlife, it can be your, so anything, architecture, monuments, multiple things you can really continue to refurbish the entire. So you have to be a little bit on keeping the refurbishing cost, because after say about a year and a half, you might have to invest maybe a little bit to refurbish, bring some new things so that the freshness of the business would really continue to become. It's a good model, very, very good model. If you are able to, especially in the smaller B cities, A cities, and obviously there is no brainer. I mean, this, if you open up in Bombay, Bangalore, this would do very well, but it's also equally good for the Chandigarhs and the Ahmedabad and likes of them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I will have one more question, and then I will pass it on to Sonia because we already are over our time period, which is on the support structure. How do you really support your franchisees? What kind of because especially first 3 to 4 months, it would need a lot of training capability. And another piece to a question, then maybe Sonia can take it. A lot of people would come in which would have their own facility, like we are talking in a lot of developers, shopping mall owners. They don't mind putting the capex. They rather can put a bigger place. They can say, okay, let me put 2,000 square feet. They don't have a capability to manage. So would you be open for taking management role also, especially areas which are nearby, say Delhi, NCR? If somebody comes from Noida and say, look, let me put the money, but I don't want to manage it, you manage it. Would you like to take a responsibility of management because you're already managing and say places like that, or you would like to purely franchise?
So initially, yes, of course, we had thought about this, and we were confident that our franchisees would be able to manage it themselves. So we're looking at 4 models, where they're managing it themselves. But we're very open to the idea. Yes, certainly, if somebody's putting in the capex and they're struggling, we are confident about our human resources. We are confident about the way we have gone about it thus far. In fact, this is the kind of support we want to extend out to everybody who's going to partner. It's our baby. The brand is growing, and we will not, let anything happen which would obviously scuttle the whole thing before it starts. So we intend to give you all kind of support. So right from the training sessions that happen in the beginning before the play starts to continuously landing up there each day and monitoring what's happening in the initial days, to giving them training manuals and procedures to follow, conducting drills, conducting surprise audits, continuously, training on the side other potential employees so that in case somebody just vanished, we have backup to support. And we want to part that quality that we've been able to discover for ourselves over this 3-4 year process. We want to codify it. We have developed standard operating procedures, and we developed these manuals, and we've developed a way of training people, young people, who are excited about joining our organization.
Absolutely. That's very helpful. So they would, obviously, this is not a rocket science business. It's a very simple business.
Absolutely.
So the idea is to creating this whole thing. Creating the idea was a difficult part, which they've already done. Proof of concept is already done. They're already very, very successful. Now they just want to duplicate and give the IP. This is the IP now. They've built an actual property and which they want to give it to you. So over to you, Sonia, for your questions and remarks on the opportunity.
I'd like to thank both of you, Dr. Purnima and Captain Latte. I think the presentation was very, very comprehensive, and just in the interest of time, because I see a lot of questions and I was trying and answering all of them, but some of them, if it comes from you, I think would be very helpful for the audience. So I've made a note, in the last 1 hour, and some questions which maybe I like to take up immediately are, one is maybe the immediate projections that you have, considering the times we are in, where most of these places or malls are in different phases of their operations. What do you see of maybe in the next 6 or 12 odd months, and how long do you think will maybe the business, if somebody takes in these times, would be ready to get returns?
I feel that things will become, pretty much normal soon after the vaccine. As soon as the vaccine comes in, everybody's just waiting to go get back to normalcy. So that's what we're banking on. So till the vaccine arrives, it's slightly tough. You would have to, allow for that period.
Yeah.
And as you would understand that the government is not likely to open, places before December, could extend possibly to January till the vaccine is truly available all over. So there is a little challenge there, but we've been thinking. So we carried out an experiment in the meantime. So there's somebody who wanted to celebrate a birthday. We sent across 2 of our employees in vapor suits. Those are positive pressure suits, and dressed as astronaut. One as an astronaut, one as a dinosaur, inflatable dinosaur. So that was very safe. They carried out a pretty social distancing, compliant birthday party. The kids were absolutely thrilled. We decorated a van like a space shuttle, and they arrived, below the building. The kid waved out to it. The astronaut and the dinosaur stepped out, and they had some, interactive kits for the kids. So it was a very safe, because vapor suits are very safe. They're safer than masks and everything else. They're airtight. So if you are able to innovate your way around it, you could reach out to people at their homes and make customers who would come back to you when you open up. And so you could, kind of cycle your resources to deal with the times. We're also building out retail, and we are building on a model which will have trickle down effects, merchandising retail, which will have trickle down effects for the franchise owners as well. They'll be participating in the spoils, and we tested some kits out on the kids, and they're loving it, and we expect them to go really big soon. So it's how you engage people to come back to you. You reach out to them where they're hiding. So if they're hiding, this is what we did with that birthday. We were able to show that we have the skills to, make a profit even in COVID times. You can have specialized birthdays. So extending that logic, there would be certainly some revenues that you could work on. There's some bold people who'll always land up there. They'll always land up at your place. And as long as you're exercising, we are putting a lot of safety measures. There's a lot of disinfection which will happen when we open up. There's going to be the spray tunnels, but of course we're going to find if they're approved, they're WHO approved spray tunnels, and if they're safe for kids. And there's going to be constant disinfecting happen, constant, all the norms and practices would be followed. So when we do open up, we intend working on 2 aspects. One is make the place as inviting as possible and encourage the customers to come back by absolutely being completely compliant and safe. Number 1. Number 2, developing strategies to deal with the situation. Like I mentioned this birthday. There are strategies possible. I think there are ways you can go about doing this. And so therefore you would have revenue streams. They are kind of news. I would not hazard a guess as to the projections, but post-vaccine, things are back to normal. Back to normal, yes. Because I can tell you this, because people are waiting and dying to come out, and they just need a reason. And once they feel the assurance of the vaccine, which is going to be a game changer completely. It's going to just.
I also want to ask, what is the lead time for somebody to start operating? Because it will also take somebody to take some time out, maybe to find a location, do the initial capex. So typically, what is the lead time involved for somebody who wants to take it up? How many months before it starts operating?
So we are quite fast since it's all manufactured with us and everything. We are quite fast. We say about 3 months is good enough for us. I know, understand people go for 6 months at least, but um, we are confident. We are keen and confident that it can happen. Our people are ready and waiting to go. The guys who manufacture the equipment and everything.
And are there any royalties also that we are charging? Because I think we didn't see a mention of that in the presentation. On the overall revenues that we do, is there a percentage that we are charging as a royalty?
As of now, as per a few discussion with some knowledgeable people, we're keeping it at 25,000. We don't want to hurt anybody. We're not keeping a percentage yet. We're keeping a minimum of 25,000 that we are charging as of now with these two models.
Okay, so that's a fixed fee you're talking about, and not a percentage of the overall revenue. Great. And I also had a question from one of our viewers. We talked about capex, and does that include the franchise fees, or franchise fees is over and above the fee?
The capex includes the franchise fee. The franchise fee, like you probably notice in the slide, if you were to go back, it's 5 lakhs for the first model,
and 8 lakhs for the other model, right? And what kind of age groups are we catering to?
So yes, so like
2 to 12 is 2 to 12 is the age group which we find comes most often.
Okay. Now it's 2 to 12. Yes.
All right, and if we can also quickly maybe tell the kind of licenses which are required to operate a business like this.
Yes. So so if you were basically for the firefighting space.
Actually, a couple of things are taken care of because we are at the mall at the moment. So a lot of things are taken care of by the mall itself.
But if, for example, if you were to go obviously with the second option, then you would obviously have to go for the food license, and you get the idea that there are licensing involved. But it shouldn't. It's all covered in that fee that we have. The capex is covering everything pretty much. So your sites are covered. There's nothing extra.
Sure. Great, Captain Aditya and Dr. Purnima. I still see a host of questions which have come in, and I see some of our viewers who have many questions. I see Vishnuji, he's mentioned certain things which he would like to discuss, and I see one of our viewers from Bombay also, Mr. Hitain. So would it be okay if we can take up these questions one-on-one with you, because it requires maybe more information and detailed understanding on the business model overall that currently has been done, and maybe because of the paucity of the time that we are in, we'll not be able to explain or take everybody's question. But I would request all our viewers, friends, if you can just and I think Hitain has already put a query on a hotline number. I would request if you share your details, if you have a property, information on the property, maybe your current business that you do, your occupation that you do, and maybe the time frame within which you want to invest in, and we would look forward to receiving that. Put that in a chat box. Our hotline number already flashed, and I would request each one of you friends put your query, and we'll try and reach out to you. And if okay, today being a Tuesday, if a Friday or a Saturday between these 2 days, if we can line up the calls with you, would that be okay with you? Or and if you're
okay with us, thank you for your help in reaching out, and we are only too happy to reach out anytime.
Sorry, we missed in between. So is it okay if we...
You're fine with the 2 days that you mentioned. Yes.
All right. I think before we conclude, Dr. Purnima and Captain Aditya, would you want to give maybe a final message to all the audience listening live and on the webinar today?
So we're looking forward to this journey with you. Yes. We are very hopeful about this enterprise. We've been happy with what we have got thus far on the plate. And we certainly want to, undertake this journey with you. We are with you. So your winning is our winning, and that's how we want to see it. And we go together. And of course, we can ideate on this together, because remember, we can all make this together. And anything is possible with us. We have the wherewithal to make anything.
And we've nurtured IDIG history like a baby. We've been very sincere with what we're giving to people. I think that's what why it's probably worked so far. So I think that sincerity should it should come of some use, because it's going to be a healthy baby basically. Yes, that we'll give to you. So.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we
I'd
want
like to thank you on behalf of everyone for coming today, Dr. Purnima and Captain Aditya. And I would say, entertainment is one of the globally one of the biggest industries today. Companies like Discovery, Disney, Kidzania, now in India, Legoland Discovery, they're all big examples of how this is flourishing as it combines both information and entertainment. And most important, it is very interactive and it involves children in the whole process of learning, which many other entertainment concepts alone, because they're very passive and they do not interact with the content at all. So we'll come back to you maybe after filtering the profiles of people that we have who have reached out to us, and we'll connect with you on Friday. And two important, I think, inquiries that we have received. I think they want to interact immediately. We'll see if they're available today, and we'll try to get in touch with them and seek your time and fix maybe a slot based on your availability.
Thank you, Dr. We really appreciate your time.
Thank
We
you
were
so
very
much.
impressed with the insights that you had at your fingertips, Mr. Maria. He's seen it all, and it took us about a couple of years to figure that part out. And we thank you for your time, Sonia ji.
I think India was lacking, I think being parents ourselves, we kind of explored edutainment only when we traveled abroad, and we never had these. So it's great to see, something like this coming up, and the kind of, I would say, investment you have been able to capture this. Most of the other businesses, they're upwards of 15, 20, 25 odd crores of investment, which are not even franchisable. Only these big MNCs would take joint venture rights of these companies and put this high capex. So great.
I want to wrap this up, but you know what? There was an entity once a few years ago that I researched into, and I realized that it did not do so well because they had a density, as I call it, of 3 interactives per 1,000 square feet. Well, we got 15. So that's the reason we were able to sustain it here.
And also, they're usually spread. The very fact that they're spread over a large
large
area is
area
what
is huge
causes
capex.
the.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's very
causes-
dangerous. I mean, it's a great model too, by the way. If you can develop the associations, for example, you mentioned Discovery. Discovery could partner you. If Discovery, you could reach out to Discovery. Yeah, that's a good idea. They could partner. You can trickle down the benefits to the franchise owners. They could get the sharing, the branding, that co-branding that happens. So the world is open. We think we have made a very safe model, which is not too capex heavy, which is sustainable.
I agree.
And so that's the hope, that we get a great big family to grow with. Thank you so much for your time already.
Thank you so much once again for putting this time with us and for all the viewers today. Over to you, Archana.
Thank you so much, all the participants who have joined us today. Thank you so much, Dr. Purnima, Captain Aditya. Really delighted to have you on board. Thank you so much, our panel member. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much, our panel member Gaurav sir and Sonia ma'am for sharing their insights and talking about the brand. Yes, right. Yeah, rightly said by Sonia ma'am and Gaurav sir. Please do share your suggestions, feedback, queries at our business hotline number, which is 9717683838. We at Franchiseindia would love to give you clarity about each and every pointers. You can also connect with our management team at their respective LinkedIn IDs. That's the information on your screen. But before you go, we invite you for tomorrow's webinar, which is scheduled sharp at 12. We are presenting you a business idea which is into cloud kitchen. It's India's largest veg cloud kitchen business opportunity for you guys. You have opportunity to meet with the owner of Patel's Chappanbhog, Mr. Harshal. He's coming directly tomorrow, digitally interacting with each one of you, so that you can share his, so that you can join his journey about cloud kitchen. So thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great day ahead. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks.